Hello, 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 and welcome to your Living A Course in Miracles audio/reading book club. My name is Jared Krebs, and I am excited to be here because today we're going to talk about chapter 6 of the lifetimes when Jesus and Buddha knew each other. And this is the best one because this is about Jesus's lifetime. And OMG, we're going to talk about it all. And anyway, if I don't stop myself, I'll start talking about it because it was so good. So I am excited to talk about chapter 6, and I've missed you because I was not on for chapter 5, which was the Buddha chapter. But that's what I'm excited, and I'm in San Antonio. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm excited about. Who wants to go next?
I'm in France. It's Saturday here. I'm excited about it too because I wasn't on last week because I had the flu. I've had the flu for 2 weeks and it's horrible. I don't want it again. Anyway.
Looking good, Langy. Looking good, sir.
Yeah, I'm okay. Lizzie's got the flu now. Spread it about.
Oh, shoot.
Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about this. I was really excited about it last week too. And I was quite fascinated by how we've moved on a little bit from forgiveness. Not that we're not going to do forgiveness, but it's about this duality and the oneness.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'll stop there because somebody else want to say something.
Badass. Awesome. Thank you, Langy.
Okay.
Welcome.
My name is Christian Stanbury, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm really excited about today's call because I like reading or hearing from Martin and Persa about Jesus's life 2,000 years ago because we hear so many different things, and I love hearing it from Martin and Persa. It's kind of like looking through something that I feel I can trust, and so I really like that. Although I've had a lot of resistance to finishing the chapter, I did read as much as I could. So I'm going to let you guys go first on the highlights.
Okay. Thank you, Christian. Nathan Lively, your turn.
Hey guys, Nathan Lively in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm excited to be here to forgive everyone.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm excited to be forgiven. All right, so to open up today's call, I'm actually going to read an excerpt from the Journey Through the Text by Ken Wapnick, and this particularly relates to when we flex our muscles, because we like to do that on this call. So
yes.
I was reading this and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, here we go. The body is the sign of loss of power because power is in the mind, not the body. This explains why people love to flex their muscles, to appear all powerful, physically and psychologically. This is what Freud called reaction formation, where we act opposite to what we truly think or feel.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought that up because I was mentioning I had a deep discussion with my ex-girlfriend recently, which is basically like we were talking about how my past I was kind of like involved with some bad people and stuff like that. I kind of went down a darker path and stuff 12 years ago or whatever, high school, and she asked me why, and I thought about why, and I did use the term reaction formation too that I learned through Ken, is because I probably felt that I was weak and I needed a way to kind of like, compensate for the way I felt about myself and to do the opposite of the way I truly felt about myself, which was actually a really tough guy, with tough people doing bad things. But so yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So every time we flex, we really think we're weak. And to finish it off here, it says, in one sense, bodily weakness and suffering are powerful because they are the ego's means of manipulating others to feel guilty or take care of us. Yet there is no true power in the world. Its arsenals of hate notwithstanding. Strength in the dream exists only in the mind that dreams its dreams of pleasure and pain. Pleasure, special love, pain, special hate. The true strength we need from others comes from realizing that their bodies are as much a projection as ours. It is possible, indeed necessary, that we see the body and its special relationships through the Holy Spirit's vision, with our sole purpose being to return to the mind that we can choose again. And Jesus asks why we would ever turn to something so pitifully little and weak when true strength does not rest in the ego, but in the mind's belief in it. The ego, therefore, never wants us gaining access to the power that can snuff out its existence in an instant, a holy instant. So, this book is so freaking rad. Have y'all read this or heard of it or seen it?
I'm reading the first one right now.
Okay, dude. So just a shameless plug for anyone who's going to watch this video later. Ken Wapnick basically takes each chapter and gives his take. And so, like for example, I'm on chapter 20 right now. Chapter 20 of the actual Course in Miracles is like 30 pages, but Ken Wapnick's commentary on chapter 20 is 37 pages. So it's like, what it's doing for me is it's taking my understanding of A Course in Miracles like exponential, because I'm reading chapter 20 of Ken's commentary, and then I go back and read chapter 20 for the first time of the text, and I already have Ken Wapnick brain. So yeah, I love it. So, and I got this from Pablo. Shout out to Pablo. We all know and love Pablo Arango. Yeah. Comes on. He's the one who encouraged me to do this. And he told me I was doing it backwards, because I used to read the Course and then read Ken's commentary. He said, no, read Ken's commentary and then read the Course, like chapter by chapter. So that's kind of, so I'm a reading machine, Sheila, when you watch this. I'm a reading machine now, guys. 2 pages a day, and this book is no joke. This book is heavy reading. 2 pages takes me at least 30 minutes. But I don't care. I do not care. I don't care. It's the most important thing to me in my life. It's more important than business and money and everything else, although I still do all that a lot. So, okay, so that was my side note for the day, but let's get into what we're here to talk about, which is the lifetimes when Jesus and Buddha knew each other. So this chapter obviously was just totally groundbreaking. I mean, if people could really, if the world, which eventually I guess the world, quote unquote, maybe this will catch on later on in, 1,000 years or whatever, but could you imagine if mainstream people knew all this?
As I was reading this chapter, I was thinking about, what if things had turned out differently? Like, what if instead of these other people, St. Paul, starting a religion, what if like the teachings had like gone on and been like transcribed exactly as they were given, and like people started to understand them? Like, man, where would we be then? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, Nathan, because again, to go back to this Ken Wapnick book, he talks about that in this book. He says that the ego is so tricky that the ego takes truth and constantly makes it dualistic. Like naturally, like we can't help ourselves. Even people today are taking Course in Miracles and making it dualistic. And you're right, it would be amazing if that was the case. And I guess, the script has already been written. But what really stood out to me on chapter 6, and actually I totally marked up my book, but there's so much. I could probably talk, 5-10 minutes just myself, but I'm not going to. But I'm just going to bring out some of my highlights, and maybe I'll come back if y'all say some stuff that jogs my memory. But one of the things is you can't completely undo the separation from God without completely acknowledging God and recognizing him as the only reality. So that's like to say that Lao Tzu and Shankara, the author of the Vedanta, they did all the enlightenment except that one piece of acknowledging God. And so I guess they had to do that before they moved on. And same with Buddha. Although I think that he did that when he was Buddha, but they decided to come back another lifetime. I was really fascinated about Mary Magdalene and how Mary Magdalene is at the same level as Jesus and Buddha. Mary Magdalene, represent. So I thought that was really cool. I was really wowed when they talk about how the Roman guard was stabbing Jesus and he didn't feel any pain, and he's like, he's like, why aren't you feeling pain? He said, a mind without guilt doesn't feel pain, and it scared the Roman guy and made him run away.
Yeah, it made a big impression on him, and if I'm not mistaken, somebody in the course community was that Roman soldier too, but I don't remember who it is.
Hell yeah. You know what? That's a great point you bring up about the course students, which is all of us. You know, we were around during that time of Jesus, and we were following Jesus around probably in some capacity in that lifetime. And it's funny that you bring that up, because in my first session with Gary Renard, I asked, I said, what, you know, like, were we connected in another lifetime? And I was asking Gary about me and Gary, you know, because it seems like we really get along and stuff. And he actually said that me and Crystal, my wife right now, we were around in the times of Jesus, and we used to go ahead and prepare the lodging and the logistics when Jesus.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I was a facilitator for Jesus back in the day, which made my ego feel great. And
super cool, dude.
But and my parents were my kids in that lifetime. So yeah, so I never feel bad about not having kids this lifetime around, because we don't really want to, but I think I've had kids a lot. This lifetime going no kids.
I did that a bunch in other lifetimes. It's good.
Yeah, like that's literally how I feel.
So you reckon we're Jesus Underground then?
Yeah. So I was part of Jesus's, like, you know, I guess the times when he was traveling around and you know, those years before the crucifixion. I don't know if I think it was Jerusalem, but either that or Nazareth, one of them. But yeah, that was like a really cool thing that he told me way back when I started having those sessions with him. But when I saw it in the book, I was like, oh, hell yeah. But that's all of us, man. You know that we were all probably there in some capacity. I mean, because this stuff just resonates with us too much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have more I could talk about, but I mean, those were the main things. Was, you know, like the Mary Magdalene, the Lao Tzu, Shankara thing. I mean, there's more, but I want to hear from you guys as well. So, who wants to go next? What were your highlights from chapter 6?
Right, can I just go back to the one I didn't make last month?
In a minute. Let's do chapter 6
it'll only be brief. It's just a bit about when Shatara and Ruhala, you know, when he realized he had a son. He was almost there, wasn't he? He was you know, pretty much enlightened, and then he found out he had a son, and then suddenly he was back into duality.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they decided to come back for one last go, and then he became Nadav. So you got Nadav, who basically he's just there. He doesn't really say a lot, does he? Although he did as Philip, he did the Gospel of Philip.
Yes.
But you know, the thing that really struck me was that Jesus and Mary, you know, they had this sort of thing when they were kids, where they could mind read when they were 10, and then they could tell the future when they were teenagers, and then they were going to the library in Alexandria, and they were basically just talking to people because they already knew what was in all the books. They just knew it all. You know, all their previous lifetimes were just shunting up like a load of wagons, you know, up behind them. You know, they were just gradually remembering all these lifetimes. And then, of course, they traveled around the world, and you did your thing where you know, went ahead and told everybody they were coming.
That's right.
But then you get this last bit where Jesus knows he's going to be executed, and Mary and Nadav have got to go through that thing again, where they love him so much that obviously they would feel grief. But I wrote something down here about when somebody dies. Here we go. It does not matter if someone dies, because their mind will carry on dreaming until they wake up, and when they do, they are home.
Yeah.
And that's basically all Mary and Nadav had to do. They'd done all the forgiveness, they'd done all the dismantling of the ego, but they just had to witness that crucifixion. Jesus was already there, hence he didn't feel any pain, and than the thing with the soldier. Mm-hmm. But they had that one thing that they had to deal with to be, out of the duality thing. Mm-hmm. And I can relate to that as a farmer in a funny sort of way, because I keep animals that I eat from time to time, but I also keep animals that are pets. So I've learned a long time ago, before I ever became a student of A Course in Miracles, that, and I guess farmers do this. They sort of, their livestock are livestock. They're not their friends. You know what I mean? I look at I've got a calf. He's quite a big chunky beast, and I look at him and I just think of him as steak. I love him, but he's steak. You know what I mean? And when he goes to the abattoir, I won't shed a tear or anything. That sounds really harsh. But to me, that's a way of relating to, if somebody really dear to you, if you can see past them. I don't suggest that you think of them as beefsteak, but it's the idea that they're not really there, but the love is. And it's not an easy thing to actually understand or explain, but that's how I'm dealing with it. And I didn't realize how important this thing is. It was important in the last chapter, and it's important in this one. I've read all of Gary's books, and it's all forgiveness, 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 isn't it? And seeing past it all.
It's like the body is a lifeless piece of wood, and
Yeah,
it's
really
nothing. It's really nothing, right? But yeah, of course, we don't look at each other as, just being nothing. But the body itself, absolutely, it's a speck of dust, a lifeless piece of wood.
Yeah, I think it's this idea of seeing everybody as spirit and no longer as bodies. I think that's probably the biggest challenge we've all got. And we're obviously all on the right track because we know what we're doing, but it's the minutiae, isn't it? It's like, and the God thing as well, because I've got a friend who's a Buddhist, and the one thing Buddhism leaves out is God. They do everything else. They know it's an illusion, and they've got the little rituals that they do to help them remind it that it's an illusion. But God is not in the equation anymore.
Yeah.
So, my friend, I keep meaning to ask him, well, what exactly are you hoping to get out of this?
That's
you know what I mean? Because there's something missing, and then there always is, isn't it? All these different things earlier in the book. There's always something not quite, there's a bit of the jigsaw puzzle missing. Anyway, that's me done. So,
thank you, Langy.
That's my pleasure. My pleasure. Just mute me.
All right, who's next?
Nathan, can you please go?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, so this is my favorite part, the very last thing. Next, there was the love. They were so loving, it was hard to fathom, even though we tried to be like them when we could. Both the Bible and the Course say that the perfect love casts out fear. There was no fear in them. Their love was perfect, and they had no fear because they had no ego.
Yes.
So, yeah, I really like this idea of a love so great you couldn't even fathom, and just a total lack of fear. I can't imagine what it must have been like to travel around with a group of people who had no fear. Like, that must have just been so, I don't know, like amazing and alien and beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah, like when they say they weren't even human.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, this one meant a lot to me. They weren't interested in pointing out the errors and the egos of others. They simply overlooked them and knew who and what the other person really was. So I know that one of my biggest things that I have to deal with is making other people wrong. and needing to be right and using that for approval and boosting my ego. And so I feel like either it's the second time I'm reading it because it's the second time reading the book, but I feel like other times in the course in this book, reading this is saying like, hey, remember, it's not your job to make other people wrong. I'm like, right. I forget that. Okay, and then one more thing. Mary Magdalene, she didn't value the body and saw no need to make other bodies. And so I was thinking, oh yeah, I also don't really feel like I need to make other bodies.
I love it. I know,
That's
right? It makes the people who don't have kids not feel so bad.
Exactly.
But it also says right after that, but if you have kids, remember, it's for one reason, forgiveness.
Right. And like, I don't know, Jared and I are around the age when lots of our friends are like either having kids or their kids are getting into that like slightly older, like 3 to 5 year old range when they're just like terrible humans. And you and I'm just looking at him like, yeah, this is a huge forgiveness opportunity for you, but I'm gonna go now.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? It's all we got to forgive in other areas.
I don't really plan on having.
But you know what? Yeah, let's just enjoy this lifetime around and forgive in other places and get our sleep.
Yeah, I'm sure we have plenty of work to do in other areas. Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan. Christian.
All right. So one of my highlights is where they're talking about like how many people did Jay talk to at one time? Like Jay Marion or Jay, how many people did he speak to at one time? Like what was the most? I think they said about 4,000 was the biggest crowd.
5,000. 5,000.
Yeah. And then he's like, how could the people hear him? And he's like, there would be people like every 50 feet away that would repeat what he said, and then like it would just keep spreading out. And that Jay, Mary, and Nadav knew the languages like everywhere they went.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So that's really cool.
It was like a farewell tour.
And yeah. Let's see what else here. I like how Thomas basically like wrote down things that Jay said. Like Peirce rewrites the Gospel of Thomas in Gary's second book, Your Immortal Reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically get straight from the horse's mouth, Gary said. Like Peirce makes a brand new, like perfect translation of the Gospel of Thomas. And that gospel has really touched my heart more than once. And when I first was reading Gary's books, like I felt like my mind was closer to like I would say non-dualist, like semi-non-dualistic, like semi-dualistic to like I would even like semi-non-dualistic in between, like add an extra one. And like so my mind was like, and I was reading that gospel once of like Jay's words, and I was really able to kind of like understand it on a really deep level. And even Artin and Peirce, when they described the 4 attitudes of learning, dualism, semi-dualism, non-dualism, and pure non-dualism, they said that depending on which state that you're in, you'll interpret attitude of learning, you'll interpret the same scripture differently. And like, it was really interesting.
Wow.
So I really like that. There was one highlight in my ebook that I highlighted a long time ago. I found my ability to quiet the mind to be very helpful in my practice of the course. And like I did an 1.5 hour meditation yesterday. That feels really good. I feel like meditation for me will really complement my spirituality. Even though it's not a part of the course, I really feel like I should get in Kriya Yoga again and just kind of like really deepen my mindfulness practice.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that because I only read the first half of the chapter, so I'm not sure what else is in there right at the moment. But I will add that Gary's first, second, and third book, Disappearance of the Universe, Your Immortal Reality, and Love Has Forgotten No One, especially the second and third one, have a lot on Jesus's life 2,000 years ago. And it's a lot of juicy stuff that, like you said, like it'd be cool if the general public kind of like knew or could intuitively tell that what we're reading is probably exactly how it went down. You know, I think that's really amazing. You know, there's people, there's scientists that study and read, and everybody has their theories and stuff, and that's really cool. But it's almost like we have like invaluable or like money. People have spent billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know, the ego blesses that, so that we keep looking out there in the world and never finding the answers. You know,
100%. Well, I've been kind of pondering what we're going to read next or listen to next, and I'm going to be talking to Gary actually next Wednesday, and I'm going to ask Art and Persa where they want us to go with this club. So maybe we explore some of those books. Maybe we become a reading club instead of an audio. I don't know. Or maybe we listen to Ken Wapnick's sweet audios on YouTube. Who knows? We'll find out.
Oh, cool.
I want to add some things that stood out to me that y'all jog my memory. Mary went there by mind transport. The rest of them had to walk. What a badass, Mary. What a badass. She's like, you know, you guys walk. I'm going to do mind transport. Oh, dude. The meaningless of the body and how it had nothing to do with what he really was and where he really was. So Jay would be crucified. He had chosen to teach this lesson in order to demonstrate the meaninglessness of the body, and how it had nothing to do with what he really was and where he really was. Oh, and then sometimes we'd give Jay a hard time when he would kiss Mary Magdalene in public. They say, "Hey, don't you know you're not a body?" Then we'd all laugh. I can just imagine like them, "Hey man, don't you know you're not a body?" And they're like, "Ha ha ha ha," and it was just fun.
It's a bit of a private joke, isn't it? And everybody stands around and saying, "What's the joke? I don't get it."
Right. Just the joyous nature of them probably hanging out, laughing, you know, drinking, whatever, having fun.
I think a lot of times people thought that they were drunk, even though they weren't, because they were just laughing and stuff.
Yeah, just so happy, right? When Buddha says, "Let Caesar have the world. Why work so hard for nothing?" We all break even in the end. It's a break-even game for all of us. The question is, did you learn from it? Did you forgive it all? I think I'm going to do a Facebook Live on that. Many of the people who were following Jay and trying to figure out what he was talking about are people who study ACIM.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm still going to flex because I'm over the level confusion. Okay? That's why I'm going to still flex.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Hey, content over form, bro. Content over form. Come on.
All is forgiven and released.
All is forgiven and released.
Yeah.
And some people would volunteer to go on ahead and make sure we all had food and a place to sleep.
Food. Bring me food.
When you make male and female into a single one, so the male will not be male and the female will not be female, then you will enter the kingdom. All people were spirit, exactly the same as their creator, not male or female. Their egos had been so much undone by all of their learning and application in other lifetimes that there was no ego interference restricting their joining with each other's seemingly separate minds.
Yeah.
People who are not really people but appear to be travel through space and time in groups. I bet the 4 of us, or the 8 of us, I bet we've had a lot of lifetimes together.
We're a long way apart these days, aren't we?
Somehow we came back together like on this Zoom webinar, even though we're in different parts of the world. But I'm sure we've been bros, or maybe we've been lovers, or maybe we've been parents and children. Maybe we've been, just like Buddha and Jesus were.
Hey, settle down here. Settle down here.
What, baby? What? Just kidding. So
it's getting a bit real now, isn't it?
It's getting real. Oh my God.
Like you got Langy blushing, I'm blushing now too.
Langy's blushing, man. I love it.
Yeah. Keep my glasses in.
I mean, like you want to hear another fun fact? I got this one from Gary on another thing. Crystal was my uncle in the 1800s, and Crystal was a soldier. She was a marksman, and I was her nephew. And this was in Salem, and that's why Crystal's obsessed with Salem, Massachusetts.
Cool.
Yeah, so that particular lifetime, I guess.
In what way is she obsessed with it? She just likes to go there a lot?
She wanted to go to Salem and go on a vacation like last year, and she just like made this plan with her friend Joey, who's also wanted to go to Salem, and they're kind of witchy. Crystal's a little kind of like into that, gothic witchiness deal. And
slight witchiness, yeah.
Yeah, so is Joey. Joey's her friend. And so they had a vacation. They went to Salem. They spent like 10 days in Salem, and they just like walked around and visited all the witchy places and learned the history of Salem. And we were kind of like, what's the deal? Why is Crystal so obsessed with Salem? And so we kind of found out that, I guess, in the 1800s, she lived in Salem. But yeah, man, it's like cool, wild info. So this brings us to forgiveness in the field. Oh my goodness, we're making time. Seems like time just flies when I talk to you. All right, so all right, I'll start. Oh wait, but how much? We have 4 people. We have 22 minutes. I don't think we need 5. What?
Yeah, we got like so much time because we even started like 10 minutes late or something.
Yeah, we're just flying through it, man. I mean, let's just say this. Let's do 4 minutes each. If we have extra time, we'll just end early, or if someone goes long, I guess we'll just deal, but we'll do a 4-minute timer. I don't think I'm going to need 4 minutes for my forgiveness lessons, but I got one. I got a pretty heavy one. All right, hold on. Okay. So here we go. Timer's going. All right. So on Easter, on a day of resurrection, on a day when you're supposed to be really peaceful and joyous and happy, I was just enraged at the beginning of the day. And like, I'm like, dude, do I have a problem? Like, so here's what happened. So we had gotten, Crystal's family was going to come over, and they were going to, we're going to have a big barbecue and do Easter egg hunts. But I wanted to go to the gym, and she wanted.
Wait, don't you live with Crystal's family?
Yeah, but all the family.
More
like,
of the family.
The
Got
grandma and the cousins and everybody. So, but I wanted to go to the gym first, and then be back at a certain time. And she really wanted me to be there when like the grandma arrived, and her grandma and her cousins, and anyway, and so when I got done working out, I made an effort to go buy her mom an Easter basket, because her mom always makes us Easter baskets, and I wanted to buy her mom and dad like a glass of wine or a bottle of wine each, and put this Easter basket together, and like it's Easter, and it's like I'm like 15 minutes behind, and I just feel like she's not grateful that I'm doing this for her parents, and then she calls me and she just tells me I'm late, and she just not grateful enough, and I just felt like all this anger come up in me, and I was just like, I just was so angry, and I'm sitting there in Walgreens on Easter about to come home with this Easter basket, and I'm just like, I am angry because I feel that I'm totally justified in her ungratitude and making her the cause of my suffering, and like it's just what happened. So I am glad that I didn't actually like yell at her. I didn't act out too much, but the anger was there. It was like I needed to somehow get through this anger, and I'm like driving home and I'm so upset. And I have this written down here. I got this from Pablo. Again, Pablo Arango, the man, the myth, the legend, the Spanish-speaking Ken Wapnick in my mind. Anyway, he gave me this, and I transcribed it. So I'm going to read it to you guys, because whenever I have like stuff going on, like I'm feeling really special because, you know, that's my ego projection at the time. And, you know, I'm more special because I work out. So I think I see someone, I think I'm more special. Or I am super pissed off at Crystal. Or I'm pissed off because Airbnb wasted an hour of our time when we were trying to make hotel reservations. Whatever projection of ego that happens, I read this. And this is what helps me. Holy Spirit, I recall this projection of the unconscious belief in the fear of God, fear of death, fear of destruction, and fear of the atonement in the form of rage at Crystal. Okay, I recall this projection and relinquish it onto you, for I no longer want any of these ego thoughts within me as mine. I'm aware that Jared, his family, friends, and all beings in the illusory world are immortal spirit. These illusory bodies are only images that have nothing to do with what they are. They are perfect spirit, perfect oneness, perfect love. I, as the entire, seemingly separated decision-making mind, am seemingly projecting and observing this entire illusory hologram of time and space. I am perfect spirit, perfect oneness, perfect love. I am Christ. Everything is forgiven and released. So I said that to kind of remind me of the truth, that we're not bodies, and that this is a projection that is basically a projection of my unconscious belief in the fear of God and fear of atonement in the form of blaming Crystal. And so I wrote this down, and I keep it in my wallet, and I pull it out whenever I need it. So I can actually copy paste that into the group if y'all want to have it, if you want to use it as a tool. But that's one of my mental practices that reminds me of the truth. So my 4 minutes is up, guys. Wow, I went long. All right, who's next?
Yeah, I'll go. I guess that's really awesome, dude. Like the first time I did the workbook, I did it very well, and I used a lot of flashcards that I created myself and kept in my back pocket throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I can see how that'd be super helpful. Earlier this week, I felt very down. I've been feeling pretty down for a few weeks, and like depressed. And then there was one day where I had a little video chat with one of my best friends, the guy who showed me the course, and I started tearing up. I felt super overwhelmed, and but it's kind of like sparked and fueled my desire to be truly happy and peaceful more. It's kind of like really fueling and reminding me that that this is indeed a desert, and the thing to do with the desert is leave. I don't have to agonize over it. And forgiveness is still and quietly does nothing. It merely waits and looks and judges not. And so I know it's a process, and I'm developing my trust with the Holy Spirit day by day. And I am starting to pull myself out of that hole in the ground and change my thoughts and change my thinking, because I would recognize my invulnerability, and I would choose happiness over pain. So I'm excited at the same time. I definitely experience duality. I experience pain and fear and guilt, but I also experience love and joining and peace. And so that's about it. So I'm consciously making the decision. And like I said, I feel like if I meditate more and read the course, that should help tremendously, because that will help me hear the Holy Spirit's voice and stuff. And I'm really hoping that one day I can hear it all the time and it never goes away. Like, I never stop hearing it.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. I mean, Christian. Forgive me.
No!
That's awesome though, bro. I mean, that's be able to pull yourself out of that funk is like, it's big time. That's big. That's a big win. And the fuel, dude. I mean, that's the fuel. I know about the fuel. I got it. I'm tired of it all. I'm with you.
I think because Christians actually felt better. It's like, what's great for me with the Course of Miracles is you do it and it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to church and pray and maybe nothing happens. But if you do what the Course says, you may be in a black hole. But if you have a holy instant and realize you're in a black hole and do something about it, choose to see it differently, you will feel better. And whatever was bugging you will just evaporate. And I think the experience of that, Course of Miracles says it's learning about the experience. And well, I suppose now I better talk about my forgiveness opportunity. Being sick for 2 weeks has been a real big forgiveness opportunity. Getting flu, because I don't generally get sick, and I've been really poorly, and I got really weak, and it's not stopped raining for weeks and weeks, and my cows make the place really muddy. So working around the place, because I have to muck them out, and we got horses as well. They turned the place into a swamp. But the sun came out yesterday, and it came out again today. And also, I've been doing the Course of Miracles day classes, but I don't do it every day. I just do it when I feel like it. And I've been working through the sort of 90s, and I got to 100 today. And really, the 90s are affirmations of what my purpose is here. And today was number 100, and it said I had to feel happy. And I thought that was kind of nice. And I did feel happy because the telephone rang yesterday and I got some work, because I haven't had any work for a few weeks. And the thing is, if I had work, I couldn't have done it because I was too blooming sick. So when I got better, the phone rang and I got work for today and I got work for next week. So things have turned around, and the sun's out and the ground's drying out, and I can walk around without falling over and stupid stuff like that. So I don't get the forgiveness opportunities that other people get because I'm on my own a lot. So I don't really see anybody to get upset with. But being sick has been a big forgiveness thing for me. And also because I don't want to be sick. I wanted to heal myself. And I'm usually quite good at that. But anyway, it's worked out. I think everything's mapped out for a reason, isn't it? And I've met I think I've got to a turning point, because I've had this slow burn in England, and it's coming good. I just, like you say, day at a time, take it a day at a time. Course of Miracles is just brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant.
That's me done.
Happy to hear it. Thank you, Langy.
You're brilliant.
A minute to spare, sir. Well done. Okay, Nathan Lively.
Hey. So let's see. This week I've been reaching out to a lot of people on LinkedIn, trying to kind of validate a new product I was thinking about launching, and an old one and a slightly less new one that I was trying to promote, and just getting into a bunch of conversations with strangers about business stuff. Running something called the Mom Test, which I've been reading about recently. It's been interesting. Anyway, a couple of guys were pretty rude to me, and I think that's because I was pushing them a little bit too hard for sort of industry information that I thought was fine that other people had told me about, but these two guys didn't like it. And one guy said, he said, "I appreciate what you're trying to do, but time is money. and I have a $500 day rate and $100 an hour. Good luck. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know this was a dick swinging contest. And I was about to start writing back to him and say something rude. And then I realized that wasn't the right thing to do. And I asked for guidance and had to go through forgiveness exercises a couple of times. But then I just let it go. And I wrote back to the guy and I said, thanks for your feedback. And then I moved on to talking to someone else. And it was fine.
Way to go, sir.
Yeah.
You passed the lesson. Now you don't have to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
Well done, Nathan. That's a big win. You got 2 minutes left, bro.
Oh, shoot. Let's see. Oh, one more. I'll share one more. So last weekend, I tried to get my wife into a thing. Basically, things go wrong between us anytime she tries to coach me or I try to coach her, and we're both kind of coaches in different ways. She's a personal trainer, and I'm a business coach for sound engineers. And anytime I try to help her with her business, it just goes wrong because it doesn't matter like how good my intentions, like it gets interpreted as criticism and vice versa. And so in this particular time, I was like, hey, you could do this thing and you could do it right now. And she was like, oh, I'll check it out next week. And I was like, and I pushed a little bit farther, which was never the right thing to do. I pushed a little bit more. I was like, are you sure you could do it right now? And oh man, she just got pissed. And she was like, you don't get to do it. And we kind of got into a little bit of a fight. But I was able to stay calm, and while she was like kind of getting pissed at me, I was just looking at her in the eyes and like also forgiving her. And I think it got resolved a lot faster than it normally would have because I was just trying to really stay present and ask for support.
Well done, Nathan.
All right.
Dang, bro. You're
Right
just
on,
racking up the W's, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and you have 30 seconds to spare, no less. Well done. All right, so that concludes our forgiveness in the field. We're going to end early, but guys and gals who watch, this next chapter is hold on. I think it's like 40 pages or something. Hold on. Isn't it like 40 pages? No, this chapter's not.
Gnostics, isn't it? Gnosticism.
This chapter is, this chapter's only 13 pages. Okay, so we're good. Then we're going to do chapter 7. We're going to next Friday, we'll talk about chapter 7. I will say this too, like, I appreciate how slow we're going through this book because I'm reading the chapters twice. Like, I read the 13 pages of Jesus's lifetime, and I did it like all on, I think, Sunday or Saturday of last week, but then I spent time reading it a whole second time. So like I'm getting it double because this call it's forcing me to slow down. It's forcing me to take it in. So I kind of really like that. So, but yeah, so we'll do chapter 7 and next Friday we'll talk about chapter 7. And then when we get to chapter 8, we're going to take 2 weeks on it because it's like over 40 pages. Chapter 8 is 113 to 153. Yeah, it's 40 pages. So we'll take 2 weeks to do chapter 8. I know some of you super fast readers could do it in a week, but people like me, we need it to be 2 weeks, please. So
I'm quite new to this group, and the group, as I see it, is called the DU group. Did you do Disappearance of the Universe and all the other books before you got to where we are now?
We did it as an audio book. So at the beginning,
yeah, so didn't you guys do like first the Disappearance of the Universe audiobook and then all 3 of Gary Renard's other audio programs, Fearless Love, The End of Reincarnation, and then the Secrets of the Immortal? And if you guys did all those, where are all the videos?
Yeah, good point.
It's just that the Disappearance of the Universe was the big clincher for me originally.
So guys, let me just give you the history of this group, because
Okay.
y'all are obviously our hardcore members right now. So the group is actually over a year old. I believe we're celebrating our year anniversary this month. I have to look back. About a year old. And originally we were listening to the Disappearance of the Universe audiobook by Gary Renard, and we literally listened to that book 4 times through, like 4 cycles of 4 or 5. And the reason why is because we were always trying to introduce the concept of A Course in Miracles to new people. And we felt like the Disappearance of the Universe audiobook was a way that someone who knew nothing about Course in Miracles could somehow understand it and come into it. And so we listened to that literally 4 or 5 times, and we just kept looping it until it kind of got redundant. And our people, I think Nathan was on it many times as well for that. Nathan, remind me when you started with us, Nathan.
I don't remember, but I heard it 2 or 3 times through. Yeah.
With us, right? With us.
Yep.
Yeah. So at a certain time, we were like, okay, we can't just keep listening to this. I mean, we just can't keep listening to this. We've done it 6 months of the same audiobook. So then we're like, okay, let's do some of Gary's other audios. And so then we started to do basically we wouldn't repeat anything. So yeah, we did listen to Fearless Love and The End of Reincarnation and the other one, Christian, but we listened to them only one at a time. And then we went into the Ken Wapnick Living A Course in Miracles audio, which is where I think that's where you joined us, Christian. And then Langy, I think you joined us there too, right? In the
I joined with
the Living A Course in Miracles. And then at that point, I stopped trying to recruit new blood. I stopped because for a while I was actively inviting a lot of people to these calls because I wanted to get the word out. And then when Ken Wapnick said somewhere, he was like, "Dude, you don't need to do that." I kind of
come to you.
Well, I kind of did. I just kind of let people come to us, and then we kind of found the right people, and now we have a really good nucleus, and the right people are coming to these calls, and I'm not worried about how big the call is or how small the call is, but just the quality of the call, and just enjoying myself and being with you. So
it's fun, isn't it?
Very much so. I appreciate all of you.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the group a lot too, Jared and everybody. Thanks, guys.
Heck yeah, man. I look forward to the day that we can all go drink sake together or something.
Yeah, I just really miss it when I can't make it.
Yeah, I know, man. You missed the last 2, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I missed last week, and then the week prior, I was so busy that my parents had to host it, but I was just on like Nathan, no picture, nothing, till the end.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the call. Thank you for being on. We're going to unmute the lines, and everyone say good night and God bless.
Good night and God bless.
God bless.
Good night and God bless.
Good night and God bless.